Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. This is Winter is Blooming, our Game of Thrones rewatch podcast here on the show. And today we are covering the Season 3 finale, Season 3, Episode 10, titled Mhysa, written by D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, directed by David Nutter, the Nutman. I am Colton Robertson, and I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And we're capping off another season. 3 down, 5 to go. We're getting close to that mathematical halfway point. You know, I know it's 8 seasons, but sometime during the next season, we're going to reach that actual halfway point where we'll cross the threshold and we'll be halfway done. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Not quite, but 3 seasons down, man. I can't. We've been fucking rolling on this thing, huh?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's like, yeah, I guess we look back on it, and it has been quite some time.
First episode dropped on Halloween of 2022.
So I mean, the pacing, just taking it week by week, just having an episode of Thrones is so nice. And this season, or this episode, this finale, for some reason, I was really putting myself in the mind of like when I was watching this for the first time, or what someone would be thinking when they're watching this for the first time. And for some reason, I'm always, whenever I watch the show, I'm always like, yeah, the White Walkers really didn't seem that much of a threat, you know, until like the very end when they came up and everything. But like, they're really beefing them up. Like now that I'm watching the show and paying attention, they're like actually making them a threat the whole time. But it's just this background mysterious thing that I guess, I don't know, didn't notice before because it was just a background thing.
Well, and there's this interesting element where I remember a big complaint about the season 8 whole deal. And again, this is a rewatch podcast for anyone joining us randomly. We talk about the way these things affect far down the line. So we have spoilers for the whole show. That's just how good this show is that in season 3, we can talk about how it affects the finale and the last season of the show. It's kind of insane. But so spoilers ahead for future seasons. If you have not watched, this is probably not the podcast for you, but we love you. Thanks for joining us for a second. When it comes to that scene with like Melisandre and Stannis and Davos, after Davos delivers that letter, and Melisandre is like, this war means nothing. The real war is to the north. What's really, really fascinating about the reception of the way the Night King and everything was ended was that it was too quick. You know, this is how this was hyped up. That's the real war. That is the threat we need to be worried about. And then that's also the threat that gets dealt with halfway through the final season, and we're just moving on after that.
The whole point of the Night's Watch and their whole message is that this is the whole war. This is what we all have to be worried about. If we're not, they'll storm through us and kill us all like it's nothing. That's exactly what they did. Everyone ignored them until the very last possible minute, and then they did exactly what they said they were going to do until Arya does the nice little bop, bop, bop. But, like, I don't know, we're complaining about the exact thing that they said was going to happen the whole time. So it's like, I don't know, I like it even more that they're not really shown as much, but that when they came in, it was bam, you know, like they are here now, and like they are. Like, I don't think it's done fast at all now.
I, for one, have never had any beef with the way the White Walker threat is dealt with. in the long term. You know, there is one complaint that I can understand, and it's that it took one battle. You know,
True.
there was one battle,
Mhm.
all out, your army versus ours. That's it. And it's like, yeah, but you got to think about this. If the living don't win there, then
It's
the entire kingdom is fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
yeah, like they lose there. That everyone
it.
that's there joins that army, and
Yeah.
they keep marching south. And it
Yeah, no, like, so that's my thing, is that, like, it ended the way it had to end. You know, that's the thing, is that they hyped up this massive threat. I don't know what y'all expected to happen, but they weren't going to end the show with the fucking Night King having destroyed the entire island of Westeros and just gone, you know what? That's a good ending enough for
there
me,
you go, guys.
man.
Let the credits roll. Yeah, no words at all. Just a silent villain that killed everyone.
Nope.
But yeah, no, like even like Sam, like his storyline here, like where he like sending the ravens to let everyone know. Like, I mean, it was really like for a season finale. I'm like, oh fuck, like we've only seen them a couple times, but like, yeah, I'm actually like I'm worried about them now during this watch. You know, like right now, like already, and like the bells start ringing, and Davos is like, seal bar the door, you know, like, oh fuck, it could be happening now, you know, like sort of thing. And like obviously we know that we have a lot more time until we get there, but they don't.
That's just in the back of their heads the entire fucking time now. Nah, man, this was a great fucking episode. David Nutter went crazy on the direction here, and I really, really fucked with it. But let's take it location by location. We have got what looks to be 7 locations, 8 locations, 8 locations.
Dang, yeah, we really did check in with I mean, I guess it's a finale. We should check in with everyone, see where we're going.
Make up for last week where we were focused on 2 or 3 locations and kind of that's it. But yeah, we'll kick this one off at the Twins, where post Red Wedding, the Freys are doing their fucking thing. You know, they're going all out. They're celebrating. They're torching camps. They're slaughtering innocents. It's not funny because it's funny because it's a show. It would not be funny if it was real. There's all this carnage happening, right? All this terror, like swords flying, shit burning. And then there's like one guy who's like hand hanging someone. Did you notice that?
That is true. Yeah,
somebody had to tie this dude's neck up, throw the rope over the fucking tree branch, and just hold him there for a while. And that's all that guy did for a little bit, which is hilarious in the context of a battle. You know what I'm saying?
So inefficient. That was that's just very inefficient.
That's how you got the jump on that guy. You couldn't figure out anything else.
Hey, all I know from all of this stuff is that I'm so glad I'm living in today's world and not during a time where I could get stabbed with a sword, or just beheaded, or like any of these things.
Yeah, man. Fuck no. And one of the more gruesome and heart-wrenching sights occurs at this point. Whenever the Frey soldiers come out chanting, the king in the north, the king in the north, here he comes, the king in the north, and his whole entire neck, that's kind of something that stuck out to me too. They didn't just behead this guy, they had to get rid of his entire neck so that they can make this joke look good. Which is another thing that in real life is terrible, but in the context of the show is kind of fucking funny. They were like, no, like cut a little deeper there, get in there, really get down there. Fucking disturbing, but
if anything, this kind of makes him look way more badass, even in death. Like I didn't really I would understand if they just like strung him up and then had him, up there. But like they were kind of like riding him out, and like the king. I guess they were mocking him.
They're mocking him. That's the thing. Is that like it's a real salt in the wound, piss on your grave
That's
sort of
true.
thing.
Yeah.
They desecrated his body after death because he didn't die via beheading. This man was dead, and then they decided to chop off his head. So there's just levels to the disturbing nature of what happened here. And unfortunately, Arya witnesses the whole thing, riding at the Hound's back. The Hound, quick thinking here, grabs one of the Frey men's banners and rides on out with it because he knows the Frey men won't attack if that's the case. Yeah,
Smart
man, this one fucking sucked. This one was... I remember the first time I watched this, after the Red Wedding, you don't just stop watching. You go, well, goddamn, I need to get that out of my system. What's next? And then they start the episode with this, and you go, son of a fucking bitch, no goddamn way.
Salt in the wound, yeah. It's like, oh, it's just terrible. But it is, like, the actual kind of importance of it, I feel, is that Arya was there. She saw this. Like, if she wasn't motivated before,
now she is.
Oh, yeah. Watch out.
Yeah, she might not have witnessed the murder of her family, but now she knows full well what happened and what they were willing to do after it happened. And that's just a level of disdain she will not lose anytime soon. But a little bit later, after everything settled down and they're cleansing the floors and everything, in the great hall of the castle in the following morning as servants clean it up, Lords Walder Frey and Roose Bolton, newly deemed Lord of the Riverlands and Warden of the North, respectively, gloat over their victory and rewards for the treachery they've committed. And not looking good.
No, and I did hate Roose Bolton, but he was actually, he even was kind of annoyed with Walder Frey here. Like, he was like, all right, dude, yeah, like, well, I don't know, Walder Frey's just bragging, and he's like, oh, look what I did. I'm so old, no one thought of me, but look what I did.
The whole conversation where he's like, and I'm sure you're quite happy for all this to have gone this way. And he's like, yeah, he ignored my advice at every single turn. Had he not been so arrogant, which is ironic. Robb was notably not arrogant. He was confident in his skills as a battle commander because he never lost. Which means he didn't need to take the advice of anybody else because he kept winning. He never lost until he got killed at a fucking wedding.
Damn.
Roose's arrogance is what killed Robb. It was because he was like, I'm the one who's right. I need to make something happen about this. So the irony of going, his arrogance, it's your fucking arrogance, dickhead. But and then like Lord Walder Frey going, calling himself the Young Wolf. Noted earlier in the show, he doesn't like being called king. He's not even a big fan of the nickname the Young Wolf. He doesn't call himself that. He's a legend. People call him that. And then the response from Roose there, young forever. Forever young.
The history books are written by the victors. This is why, like, when House of the Dragon was coming out and everyone was like, oh, this doesn't line up with Game of Thrones or whatever, but it's like, maybe that's the point, is that a lot of this stuff is lost in translation or just lost because the people who would write well about themselves are dead. All the Starks that would say something good about this and actually give their side of the story, all of them got killed, and the whole army was wiped out here as well, pretty much. So it makes sense. It's sad. But man, like the Lannister, this episode had an overarching like family aspect, just to kind of an focusing on family, and especially with like Brand, like I think you pointed out a couple episodes ago, but it was like the one rule that the gods don't fuck with is don't kill don't kill someone in their own house or something like that.
They didn't hate him for, the gods didn't smite him for murder or killing someone's son. He killed them for killing a guest under your own roof.
That's right. And that's one thing the gods can never forgive. And I'm just like, that's like the one thing I'm just like, thinking of the whole time. You know, all like Walter Frey, he's annoying and like, oh my fuck, it's just annoying to watch him on screen. But it's so nice just to know what does happen to him eventually. But I don't know.
It's nice to know what happens to both these fucks.
That's interesting. Now thinking about that though, like what happens to Arya? You know, she did that though. You know, justified completely, and I like her doing so.
She's the god's justice in that scenario.
That's okay.
You know, because Walter's the one who killed the people under the roof.
You're right.
And then she's the one who commits the god's justice by baking the sons into a pie and turning him into a rat forever. Figuratively, he just dies.
Okay.
No, I had the same thought though while I was watching. I was like, what does that mean for Arya? And then I had to walk through it, and it's because she is the justice of the faceless god at that point, because that's who she's doing it as. You know, like a
okay, yeah, no, 100%. Okay, I mean, I guess it's still probably.
No, I'm sure the gods aren't like, yeah, Arya, go for it, babe. But
you want to think about it. It's like Walder Frey, he's already sentenced. You know, he already made his decision. He was already dead. It just had to happen.
Yeah, he already cashed his check.
But interesting that it did happen kind of in the same way.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that little detail. Well, and like the implication that Bran was once told this story, which means Arya was probably once told this story, and therein knew exactly what she wanted to do to this motherfucker for doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she was like, what's the worst thing I could do to this guy? You know, what are all those crazy stories old Nan used to tell me? Let's do one of those.
Let me bake his kids into a pie. How's that? But any hoozle, Bolton expresses his concern that the Blackfish escaped the massacre. But Walter's like, he's an old man with no allies. He's going to be it's nothing. It's fucking fine. I have Tywin Lannister at my back. And
don't doubt the Blackfish. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what he even does or how he comes back.
I don't know if he's in more than another episode. I think he only shows up one more time, maybe two. And he doesn't. It's not like he has a great appearance whenever he comes back, but it's not like it's not long lived.
See,
regardless,
glad he took that piss though. Regardless,
yeah. But this was actually where we got the reveal. I'd forgotten how this happens. The reveal that Ramsay is Ramsay, that this is Roos's son, because I'd forgotten. We were questioning a couple weeks ago whenever Rob was like, the North is held by the Ironborn. I forgot Theon killed all the fucking ravens. There was no way to report back what happened at Winterfell. He did not know because there was no word. This was a reveal as to what happened to Winterfell. It was a reveal as what happened with Ramsay and what happened to the Ironborn. And we learned that all the Ironborn did not get to return to the Iron Islands. Instead, they were all flayed dead by Ramsay and his men. And that fade, he's like, my son, Ramsay, he holds the Dreadfort. And then it fades to him eating a pork sausage, which is impeccable, him saying, but Ramsay, he has his own way of doing things.
That's the thing. If they did not go immediately to Ramsay afterwards, like, that's what makes these reveals big and like happen and like actually matter.
Editing, man.
Because like, I swear, if they didn't go to that, I probably would have just like glossed over it.
No, yeah,
like, oh, Ramsay Bolton, that's some guy that's whatever. Like, okay. Cool.
I remember watching that the first time and going, oh, like not even like oh shit, no fucking way. It was just kind of like of course, this whole scene, it's only one scene, but it was quite easy to determine that my favorite performance from this episode was going to be either Ewan Rion as Ramsay or Alfie Allen as Theon Greyjoy. They both do fantastic in this scene, but there was also no chance I was going to pick it as my favorite scene, simply because it's a bit disturbing.
Never never a joy to watch never, it's always just kind of like, now we got to see what's happening to
But
Reek
I
now.
thought Ewan Rion plays Ramsey just fucking outstandingly. He's who I went with ultimately. This playful, sadistic fuck that he's playing here. The way he like looks down, like whenever he's like he like looks down at his meal and he looks at Theon and he's like, "No, I wouldn't. What do you think, me some sort of savage?" I loved that. And he taunts him and he's like, "I'm sorry, my mother told me never to poke fun at cripples, but my father taught me to aim for the head." That's like the dude is so good at this. And I ultimately had to go with him for the performance just because this is also where Reek is born.
I think, like, in real life,
that's why I almost went with Alfie Allen, because holy fucking shit.
Like, that's gotta, okay, it's either that you're just a really good actor and that you can just turn that switch on and just go for that, but like,
what place do you have to be going to?
That's mentally what I'm saying, is like, you are saying horror, like, it's just like, you're trying your best to actually be as mean as possible. Like, I mean, it is like incredibly horrid. Like, I don't know, it's just insane to actually do that.
Well, and there's this choice here by Alfie Allen that I almost had to go with him, but the way he responds, just, it was like, oh man, like Alfie Allen kept bringing it, and then he would keep one-upping it, like, responding the best way he possibly could have. But there was that part where he was like, "You stink, you reek," and he goes, "Reek, that's a good name for you. What's your name?" And he goes, "Theon Greyjoy," and he hits him. And then he goes, "What's your name?" "Theon Greyjoy," and he hits him. And he goes, "What's your name?" And Alfie Allen's head is leaned back, and just one word, he goes, "Please." And it's the best delivery in this entire episode, because it's not just "please don't hit me again," it's "please don't make me go there."
Yeah.
I would rather be dead than you turn me into someone else, man.
He already told him, "Please kill me," before this whole interaction even started, right? Like, he was already
and that's not now it's not even that. It's just, please, just fucking stop.
Really? It's seriously? Like, yeah, like,
oh dude, it's impeccable acting, man. Alfie Allen did fantastic, but then it's the way that, like, Ramsey, like, it's almost like sexual for him, the way he's like up in his face and like stroking his chest and his neck and stuff, and he's like,
he knows he's fully protected. He can do anything he wants, literally, like anything. Like that's the whole. Like, I don't know. I was trying to think of, like, what the point of keeping him. Is it just because he is Theon Greyjoy? Maybe he comes around at some point to be valuable, so they might as well just keep him in a dungeon rather than kill him. Is that like? Is that it? Or is it just...
They send that message to the Iron Islands, like, send us, like, they're ransoming him, essentially. They're like, until you pay me, we're going to keep sending you little pieces. But that's the thing, is that, like, I don't know.
They just
I don't
also like it. Like,
they
just want to
100%.
do it. And it's like, we can either get gold and ransom out of you, but if not, then I can just have my bastard son do his thing. Let him not just go out into the real world and keep him in there, So,
well, there's the fact now too that while the war with Robb Stark is over, Balon is still an open rebellion against the throne, which the Boltons are now a part of with the Lannisters. Since they've taken the role as Warden of the North and the Seat of the North, now it is their job to fight the Iron Islands too, because this is a little part, like, it might have, I don't think that's how it was planned, but it's just happened like that now, and they can ransom him off. I think it's part of it's like bend the knee, send us gold, do your thing, and everything will be fine. We'll send your son back. But regardless, that scene was too damn good for me not to go with one of them as my favorite performance, and it ultimately went to Ramsey for me, just because he does fucking good in that one. That, like, twisted little smile that he does is
I can picture it perfectly in my head.
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, like 100%.
100%.
Nightmare fuel almost, you know?
Yeah,
like,
right. Almost like Grinch, but without all the prosthetics.
Yeah,
you
just
know,
a human.
like it's.
Yep, just I don't want to be anywhere near this. I don't know. Like Joffrey gets a lot of like death threat, you know, just like hate in real life, like the actual actor and stuff. But like this is, I don't know. Like I could go around whoever plays Joffrey. I mean, he's just just playing a kid dick, whatever. I'd feel kind of a little scared going around.
Ewan.
Ewan. Wow, is it interesting? That is.
That's how I would pronounce it. I don't know that that's the case.
It's a cool name though, regardless.
Ewan.
Yeah, it looks like his honestly his real name is more Game of Thrones than his Game of Thrones name.
Right. I had the same thought. No, but that was something I was also considering last night. Is like who I like less as a character, Ramsay or Joffrey, and the conclusion I actually did come to is Joffrey. I like Joffrey less because he is I don't like either of them. These are my two least favorite characters in Game of Thrones, but they're both up there. Joffrey's this petulant piece of shit child who is basically just trying to see what he can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of happens upon the fucked up shit he does. He's like, oh, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, I'm just going to keep digging deeper into this hole. Oh, I can get away with whatever I want. Ramsay is the most calculated piece of shit motherfucker there is. He knows exactly what fucked up shit he wants to do. He plans on doing it, and he knows exactly how he's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what makes it like, it makes the scenes with Ramsay more enjoyable to watch because it's a difference in the way they can perform it. You know, like Joffrey is a petulant little child who's just kind of trying to see what he can get away with, and the Jack Gleason, I think is his name, plays it incredibly. And then Ewan Rion plays this calculated, fucked up mind so impeccably. So like I ultimately go with Ramsay over Joffrey in terms of preference for who I'd like to see on screen. But I hate both of them. They both fucking suck.
They do suck. Yeah, that is for sure. But a first in performance now. I'll have another first in performance for the whole show this episode as well.
Wonderful. But we're going to head to the Iron Islands along with Theon's favorite toy in a box, where Balon Greyjoy reads a message from Lord Bolton's bastard while his daughter Yara cautiously opens a box crudely carved with the Greyjoy Kraken. And as Ramsay's letter explains, the box contains Theon's favorite toy. He wasn't very happy when I took it away from him. It says that the Ironborn have until the full moon to withdraw from the north or receive more bits and pieces of Theon. In addition, any remaining Ironborn will be flayed alive, just as Ramsay flayed alive Theon's 20 Ironborn followers at Winterfell after they surrendered. It was, in fact, Ramsay Snow and his soldiers from House Bolton who burned Winterfell to the ground. He simply sent false reports to his father to deliver to Robb Stark, which claimed that the Ironborn were responsible.
Wait, so it was just Ramsay himself that...
No, and his men.
Okay. So they...
He led a faction of soldiers from the Dreadfort, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. I guess... Because I was trying to figure out if, like, Roose actually knew all along, was keeping information from Robb as well, because he knew he'd eventually, like, he's not listening to me, let me, you know, and then set this whole, you know, betrayal up sort of thing. I didn't know.
And that's what's crazy, is that this means that the Boltons were going to betray the Starks before they had the Lannisters on their side.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to figure out a way to get the North out from under Stark rule. And then they just had the perfect little caveat where they're like, oh shit, now we've got the king backing us. We should be able to do this nice and easy.
Man.
But Balon is a little bit...
like, that's the crazy thing. All this stuff, like all these intricate details, it's fun for the show, and it's what makes the show amazing. And then it's just like, well, I guess all of it, you know.
Kind of crazy. You know, Winterfell really only belongs to the Starks for the first season and a half and the last season. Because Theon came and took it during season 2.
Oh, there must be a Stark in Winterfell. That's like
The
some
Boltons,
real shit.
The Boltons hold it until the end of season 6, and then that's when the Starks take it back. So they have it for basically 3.5 seasons out of 8 seasons.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, maybe that rule of there must always be a Stark in Winterfell's got a little more. I don't know,
man.
That's not good stuff happens whenever the Starks didn't have Winterfell. That's when it all went to shit. When Ned left.
Yep. Shit got
Ned,
fucked.
That one man,
he changed the game for everyone.
Well, it was probably really King Robb, though. I mean, that if he didn't go through that whole rebellion, didn't take Ned with him, he wouldn't have been handed all this stuff and everything like that. But
yeah, King Robert Baratheon, it's a little bit of a. But then the Targaryens would still reign, and the Mad King would have burnt the King's Landing to the ground, and the things that end up happening would have happened a lot sooner.
Robert, yeah, fair. Which pile of shit would you rather want?
I would rather have Robert on the throne instead of Varys.
This is true. This is true.
Just how I feel. But regardless, in response to this letter and the appendage that came with it, Balon is not incredibly excited one way or another as to what he's going to do about the situation. He defied his orders and Yora's common sense when he stayed at Winterfell. And furthermore, he cannot further the Greyjoy line, as the content of the box proves. He's not even my son anymore.
That's why Yara will get my line here.
Okay, this was hard. This was hard.
She delivered it, and the whole everything about this was badass. Not just her delivery, but everything about it.
Go ahead. You can read it if you'd like.
She says, after she says she's made her decision, she says, I'm going to pick the fastest ship in our fleet. I'm going to choose the 50 best killers on the Iron Islands. I'm going to sail up the Narrow Sea all the way to the Weeping Water. I'm going to march on the Dreadfort. I'm going to find my little brother, and I'm going to bring him home. And I was just like, holy shit, like what a side story that this is on the grander Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, this is epic.
But I'm like,
what's like a real fucking shame is how it goes.
And I don't remember. I don't really.
Oh, you don't remember that?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't know.
This one hurts. It's the reason I couldn't go. It was the reason this
is because
didn't get anything from me is because I remember exactly how it goes, and it takes the steam all the way out of it. But I mean, like, it doesn't make the moment any less not badass. Like I remember watching this for the first time, and being like, fucking Yara Greyjoy, homie. She is so fucking cool. She was actually runner-up for my favorite character of this episode. And
that's why I slid her the line, is because she couldn't quite make it to character, but she needed the nod for this, because this was very sick. Just being like, all right, Dad, you're obviously you're not making a whole lot of sense at all whatsoever. He's still your son. I can, whatever. If you get over it, whatever. I'm gonna go do my own thing, though, and that's the whole Iron Island things too. They just do what they want. It's not even that. It's like, and all these people are like following her too. That they're like already good to go just because it's Yara. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I was getting hyped up with her. And yeah, I guess I don't remember how it goes, but ignorance is bliss right now. I'll say that I don't know. But
no,
yeah.
It's nothing. No, we'll get there. But regardless, that was a super badass scene, and it does conclude the story on the Iron Islands. Thereafter, we head to the Riverlands, wherein Arya Stark and the Hound ride away from the outskirts of the Twins, where they pass a small group of Freymen, one of whom is bragging about being the one who cut off Grey Wind's head and sewed it on to Robb Stark's body. It was pretty nasty description here. He says a bunch of skin fell off, and it was just like, brutal. But they're laughing all the while. They're having a good time. And Arya simply cannot have that. She approaches and sweetly asks, "You mind if I warm myself by the fire?" And they're like, "Fuck off." She's like, "But I'm hungry." She's like, and they're like, "Does fuck off mean something different where you're from? What do you expect from us?" And she goes, "I'll have money." The fuck kind of coin is this? Yeah, the little Bravosi coin. And I was like, okay. And the Frey men investigate. You know, she drops the coin, and he goes to pick it up. And when he does so, she goes ahead and stabs him in the neck numerous times, and the back, and I'm assuming the side, and the arm, and the head, and all sorts of places. She stabs this guy a lot of times, deservedly so. We got another body on the kill list here.
I'd say, yeah, this is technically the second kill from Arya. You know, we had the little
first man,
baker's boy, or what was the actual guy? Little, or no, it was just a random kind of.
Yeah, it was a fucking stable boy.
That's right. Yeah, coming up trying to take her stuff or something.
Yeah, she was like, "Hey."
He kind of like walked into it though.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh shit, I just
like,
got this guy."
Like, I didn't even really mean to do that. Kind of didn't even really know it would kill you. I mean, obviously I knew, but
shit, man, I didn't realize how sharp this thing was for real.
This was full on. I'm gonna take the hound's knife. This guy's talking shit on my family. I'm gonna kill him with every ounce of energy I got.
Yep.
So yeah, no, this is an official. We have two, but I feel like the first one, and this is where the other first performance will come in with Maisie Williams here. Finally,
she deserved that, man.
Finally getting one.
She was top 3 for me. It was her, Alfie Allen, and Ewan Rion.
And I think I really like giving it here at the end of the season too, because I think this season was really fun to watch her. But every episode, she couldn't really get the performance nod for her own, just because there's so many other people and so many other scenes that people have way more runtime and stuff like that. But all of her stuff, like if you could put it together in one scene here, like Arya's like just doing so good. Like, you know, in the Brotherhood meeting, whenever she's watching the fight,
fuck yeah,
running in.
She's been, if there's like a top tier, who's had the most runner up performances, it's probably been Maisie Williams. I'm always like, I would like to give it to her this episode, but I got to go somewhere else. This actually is going to get my scene.
Okay. Nice.
I switched it here just because talking about it, I was like, yeah, this is the shit right here. I absolutely adored it. I love the way the Hound comes up and it's like, well, shit, now I got to do something. Goes ahead and murders 3 guys. And the way he goes, next time you're going to do something like that, tell me first. Not like a don't do that again. Not a like, oh, you shouldn't do things like that. Just if you're going to murder someone and you're going to get into a fight, just let me know. Hey, I plan on murdering that person and I'm going to need your help.
Fair enough from the Hound. You know, I mean, makes a whole lot of sense. And I love how Arya got the knife. She's already sneaky. Like, I don't know. She's already very sneaky. She got the knife from the Hound. You know, that's the first thing I think he either says, like, next time you do that, you know, let me know. And he's like, well, how'd you get the knife? You know, where'd you get the knife from? She's like, from you, you know, whatever, and handing it back.
Then she gets the coin and she's like, Valamagulis.
Yeah, she's looking at him like, oh, okay, now we're getting, you know, like,
now we're getting there.
Now we're getting to our good stuff from Arya.
Yeah, because next season it's mostly it's still traversing with the Hound and then escaping from Brienne and the Hound and heading across the Narrow Sea. That's Arya's arc next season. It's just spending time with the Hound, basically.
Hell yeah,
it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, and I wanted to, I guess, because I noticed kind of a little bit of shakiness in Arya. Not that like she was like, holy fuck, I just killed someone and I don't like it, but I think, you know, it's just an experience that even if you're fully comfortable with before,
your adrenaline's probably pumping a bit. Those hands get shaky.
But like her facial, you know, she
doesn't fucking budge.
Yeah, it didn't phase her at that, but like whenever she handed the knife back, I don't know, like it was just very handled perfectly here. Like, I don't know, it was just done very well. And so I'm glad to finally give Maisie Williams her flowers.
I'm glad that you are as well.
I'd say.
Oh, she will
start where she'll be a commonality in performances.
Oh, I gotta assume so.
I don't know, the little drop trick. Hey, I mean, it works. You know that maybe she dropped the coin, got the jump on him. Maybe that's what got the Night King.
Yeah, so she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. But Next, we're heading to King's Landing, wherein Tyrion and Sansa are walking through the gardens as a pair of passing gentlemen laugh at Tyrion, either for his dwarf status or due to rumors he has not consummated his marriage. And Sansa tells him to pay them no mind, and Tyrion reminds Sansa that he's used to it, and he's always been a dwarf, and he also states that he's not Joffrey. Tyrion would rather bide his time and humiliate them. And Sansa playfully follows his line of thinking and suggests sheep shifting, secretly hiding sheep's shit in deep within a mattress, so that the target always wakes up smelling of dung. And Tyrion's like, yes, that is a very funny idea, but why shift? And she's like, my lord. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, that's the dirty word for dung. And he's like, oh, milady.
It's so sad. She's so innocent, Like, it's just, at least
the way he like looks down and goes, oh,
at
milady.
least there was a somewhat happy moment. She was remembering a story she was told from home, and like she was smiling like during this, actually, like before she heard the news of what happened, and then
Arya used to do this to her. She's remembering her sister.
At least we get like a somewhat happy moment, but even that happy moment is her bed getting stuffed with shit, and then her room smelling like shit forever. It's like, oh, just Sansa. Man, I feel so bad for her.
I do too. But he quickly gets called to a small council meeting here by Podrick Payne, and we head to Tywin's chambers, where Grand Maester Pycelle dithers over, giving Tyrion a coded message from Lord Frey, and Joffrey jubilantly explains its meaning.
Fingers. Just Maester Pycelle just still acting old as fuck and dropping the paper, and like Tyrion fully knowing, like,
yeah, fucking Grand Maester Pycelle, man. But Joffrey's like, you know what this means, right? Robb and Catelyn Stark are dead. Fuck yeah, woo! And Tyrion is like, fucking A, man. My wife is, related to them, man. This is rough. And he's already foreseeing the long-term problems that this incident will cause. And Joffrey's like, fuck that, man. I intend to serve Robb's severed head to Sansa at your wedding feast, or at my wedding feast. It's going to be wonderful. And none of the small council are able to mask how disdainful they are at the idea of this. They're like, okay, man, you're a bit out of pocket for that one.
Cersei was like, he was just joking. Don't worry, just a joke.
He's like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm serious. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
no, and he's confused when she says he's joking. He's like, why the fuck would I be joking? No, I mean that shit. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm going to do. And Tyrion flatly says she is not yours to torment anymore. And he angrily proclaims, I am the king. Everyone is mine to torment. Which is just a wonderful mindset for a ruler of a country.
Mm-hmm. He who has to call himself the king is no king. I don't know, whatever Charles Dance said there.
Well, there's a line here that's, I was so close. So close to go. Joffrey goes apologetic and tries to fight his grandfather, deriding Tywin as a coward who hid under Casterly Rock while Joffrey's father was king, won the real war when he overthrew the Targaryens, and the entire small council tenses, waiting for Tywin to respond. And Tywin says, the king is tired.
Yes.
Take him to his chamber.
Take him, maybe some nightshade to help him sleep. I'm not tired.
Oh my god, dude.
Come on, I'm not tired.
I'm going to change my favorite scene back. It's this. It is absolutely this. Just because I love Arya's first kill and I want to give her some love, but I forgot that by eliminating this, I wouldn't be giving this scene love in any regard, and I absolutely need to.
No, it was great. We got Joffrey actually just, I don't know, served up some of his, not even his own medicine. I don't even know what to say.
He's treated like the child he is. It's incredible. And then whenever they leave, And Tyrion looks at him and he goes, "You just sent the most powerful man in Westeros to bed before supper."
Yup. Yes, he did.
Oh, and I also love that, like, Tywin annoys the shit out of me. I know, like, he's an incredible character.
Mm.
And Charles Dance performs him outstandingly. But Tyrion is clearly being playful, you know, whenever he says something like that. "You just sent the most powerful man in Westeros to bed without supper." And he's like, "You are crazy if you think he is the most powerful man in Westeros." And he's like, "Oh, that is the king, father, for shame." You know, and he's, and like, just the whole exchange there. Like, Tywin can't seem to joke with him one bit in this regard. He's like, "What do you think gives a man his power?" And he's like, "Well, I thought armies. Robb Stark had an army. And, you know, he never lost a battle, and still, he's dead. You're alive."
Talk about they're actually having a sort of a real conversation here. Like, usually, I don't know. Like, every other conversation, Tyrion wanted just to get out, you know, or it's like it's a duty that he's, you know, saying, "Oh, you have to marry Sansa now. Do this. Get her pregnant. Get a kid. I hate you. You killed my wife." Blah. That's all he gets from Tywin ever. But now they're actually just kind of talking.
Tywin's being real with him about it, you know? Tyrion's like, "Well, I suspect that Walder Frey never would have done something like that on his own. He needed certain assurances," and Tywin goes, "Which I provided him. Yep, I told him I'd give him the river run, and that'd be that." And he dismisses Tyrion's concerns that the Northerners will never forget nor forgive such an outrage, arguing he wants them to remember that so that it will make them wary of rebelling again. And Tyrion shows his distaste for this choice of a wedding as the place to inflict the slaughter. At a wedding? Really? And Tywin goes, "Tell me, what's so immoral about killing? What's worse, killing 10,000 soldiers in battle or a dozen at dinner?" It's like, okay, these are different. I get what you're saying. You make a point, but it's not as good as you think it is. Okay?
Or the actual answer: what's better, killing a couple at a dinner or tens of thousands at a war? Zero. You don't kill either of them. Actually, that's the, you know, the debate is useless in the first place. You know, you're asking what should you do? It's just both are immoral. Because if you're killing the army, you're killing the people who actually don't really care about whatever they're fighting for. They're just fighting because they have to. Or you kill the people who are just at a wedding and don't think they're about to die, but then they die. You know, so and you break the number one rule in Westeros, or whatever their Earth is called. Yeah, I don't know. It's not just Westeros, but they broke
the world.
They broke the rule, a pretty big one. Maybe not number one, but yeah, a pretty big one.
But Tywin gets all poetic about family, noting Tyrion's failure to consummate his marriage to Sansa. You know, why haven't you had sex with your wife yet? And Tyrion's like, "She does not want to." And he's like, "You will put a baby in her one way or another." And he goes, "No, I will not, father. That is not something I'm about to do." And then he goes further and further, demands to know, Tyrion demands to know when Tywin ever put the family's interests above his own. And Tywin responds with a thunderous, "The day you were born." He wanted to throw his newborn son into the sea, but instead he spared him and raised him as his son because he is a Lannister.
The closest thing to "I love you" that I think Tyrion will ever get from his dad is this. You know, because everything, I don't know, like he's like, it was kind of more meaningful than just like, "I hate you and your existence and that you did this to my wife, blah, blah, blah." But this one was like, even though all of that, you still are a Lannister. You know, that's his point. He's not saying it like that. He's saying it in a very mean and just terrible way. But I think what the point he's trying to get through is that, like, you still are a Lannister. I'm going to do anything and everything for my family. And if you have my last name, that's it. You know, so that's what he's trying to say. Not necessarily "I love you."
It is probably the nicest thing he's ever heard.
And that was my point, is that's the sad part, is that this is the nicest thing.
Yeah, no, this is still terrible, you know, because there's also a note to it that could be perceived as I mean, shit. He straight up says, "I wanted to murder you the day you were born.
I wanted to throw you out in the water and forget
Yeah.
about it." Like, okay, whoa. I mean,
That's
I guess
so nice of you, Dad. Thank you for
Yeah.
not doing that. It reminds me of
Oh,
you remember Peter Quill in the Guardians of the Galaxy? Whenever he's talking to Yondu and he's like, "You talk about how y'all just didn't eat me. You say that like it's a good thing. Like I should be thankful for you not eating me. You know, like that's exactly what this is. You know, and it's just in a roundabout way. Tyrion being
thanks,
like,
Dad, for not killing me. I love
thank
you
you for
too,
not
Dad.
killing me."
Wow.
But immediately after leaving, Tyrion returns to his chambers and calls for Sansa, who just has clearly heard the news and has a tear-streaked face, confirming that she's already been informed. And Tyrion's like, "Not right now. I get it. You definitely don't
I'm
want to
the
tell
last
me."
person you want to see right now. Yeah, like, just anyone with the Lannister last name, not good right now. She doesn't have anyone though. Anyway,
Nope.
like that's.
God, this episode was so fucking good because after this we head somewhere else in the Red Keep, wherein Varys meets with Shay, and he tells her that he knows she is genuinely in love with Tyrion, and that is why she should take the diamonds he offers her and leave immediately for Essos and build a new, lavish life for himself or for herself. And Varys is convinced that Tyrion is the last hope for the Seven Kingdoms' current regime. He is the only person in the kingdom who I think can make anything good out of what we're doing here. And you are a complication. There's a wonderful little line, too, where they talk about Sansa briefly, where she confirms, I am in love with Tyrion, and he's like, so what about Sansa? And she's like, I love that girl. I would kill for her, but that doesn't change the way I feel about this, and I won't leave.
Make it hurt any less.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your opinion on that. I didn't know if this actually comes back around and if Shay talks to Tyrion about this or not. Because at the end, she's like, let Tyrion tell me himself. Don't, Tyrion put you up to this, whatever. Did Tyrion actually put Varys up to this? Or...
I'd be willing to bet there was at least some sort of conversation between Varys and Tyrion about a future in which this sort of thing happens. However, I don't think Tyrion sicked Varys onto her. I think Tyrion is generally respectful enough to have done that. That's the thing, is that I don't think he told Varys to do this, and I don't think Varys told Tyrion he was going to.
Nope.
I think Varys acted on his own accord, decided this is what's best. Tyrion will never be able to do it, and therein I have to do what must be done. And I think that's just kind of it. And I think it's what makes Varys just a fantastic character. You know what I'm saying?
I almost chose this as my scene just for how beautiful it looked and
it was gorgeous
and everything. But I was thinking that like Varys just saw a lot of himself in Shay, like in a place that is not her home whatsoever. Let me give you this opportunity. All this money, buy a big home. All these people would be so interested in just a wealthy, and you're beautiful. You could do your own thing, sort of thing. I think it was like he made it from the absolute slums to where he is right now. And Shay, was just a prostitute before this, and now she's made her way to where she is now. Very, very, doing very well. I think Varys is just like, hey, I'm in a position where I can actually speed track all of this for her. If it all this long process that I had, whatever, let me just give her this one bag and she can leave and do whatever she wants, So that's kind of how I read it. Because I don't know. I didn't really think that Tyrion would outwardly or actually ask Varys to do this.
No.
I think you a lot more sense he was probably just drunk and Varys was, and then he was like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do in 10 years. How am I gonna keep this hit? Maybe he's just not outwardly saying it I want her to leave, but he's like, I just don't know what to do. The situation's so hard.
Well, that's the other thing, is that Varys is an incredibly perceptive, empathetic, and generally good person, that they might not have had this conversation.
Yeah. That's in my head canon, is that Varys did this all on his own. That Tyrion has no idea that he's doing this, and that's why I asked if it does come back around, possibly if there like is a conversation that Shay and Tyrion have, or Tyrion and Varys.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if she's in season 4, episode 1, because that would be the last time we see her before we see her in Tywin's bed.
That's episode 2.
No, that's episode 10.
Oh, I thought you said in episode 1 would be the last time. Oh, wait, you mean it's 1 and 10 that we see her and that's it?
I think it would be, is what I'm thinking here. Let me...
yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember, because Tyrion gets accused of Joffrey's murder and is immediately...
That's right.
Is immediately locked up, you know?
Okay,
like, so,
yeah. Okay.
So they don't interact very much after that, I can't think. Which is why I'm going to check that for sure.
Is it Shae? Apparently, it says that she is in episode 1.
She's in 1, 2, 6, and 10 in season 4.
Okay, so a little bit.
So she's got 4 more episodes, which means she will interact with Tyrion again before he murders her. In fact, I do believe Varys escorts her to the dungeons to meet with him before he's about to go on trial. She might even testify against him, actually, in that trial. I actually do think that's the case. I think she testifies against him.
Now some things are coming back a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Season 4 might be the best season of this show.
Yeah. So much happens here. Like,
that's
so much goes down
right there. That is the shit, man. That season peak, just peak. But we will get there. Nevertheless, moving on, unknown to everyone in King's Landing, Jaime Lannister, Brienne of Tarth, and Qyburn have finally arrived to the city. And the city folk do not even recognize Jaime anymore, as after his long absence from the capital, his grown-out beard and dirty appearance with no hand. And they make their way to the Red Keep, where Jaime immediately calls on Cersei, who regards him with a confused look as she takes in his disheveled appearance and missing hand. And that's it. She just kind of turns around in shock.
One word, and another...
If she had an ounce more of reaction, Lena Headey would have gotten another performance nod out of me.
No,
she did so good earlier on in the episode.
This made me tear up even a little bit. Like, just this one little, Cersei. Like, that's all he said.
Too. And I was like, I have never once liked Jaime and Cersei, and I still don't. Why am I feeling things?
I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I'm like, this is weird. I don't like them together. And then I'm like, but why am I actually tearing up right now?
It's the way they wrote it, man. It's because you're starting to forgive Jaime. It's because the music swell in this moment is incredible. It's because Cersei's not totally and completely irredeemable yet. There's a plethora of things, and don't get me wrong, I still don't like it. I've never liked them, and I never will. Their incestuous relationship is nasty, but I think it's simply because Jaime's torment is over that you feel this way. It's not necessarily that you're happy that Jaime is back with Cersei and yay, they're going to be happy together. No, that's not what I'm happy about. I'm happy that Jaime's done going through the shit he's been going through. And I think that's why that moment ultimately makes you feel things. Because I had the same thing. I started tearing up and I was like, no, why am I feeling like this?
I know. And I don't know. It's just coming off of the Royal Tenenbaums as well. We talked about just brother, sister, but they handled it very well, and it was very, different and whatever. But
that episode's coming on Wednesday, everybody.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, is it that? I'm like, is it just because my mind was open to it a little bit? And I'm like, no, I think it really just
different.
Is like
it
was
is
for
different.
Jaime specifically.
Yeah, it's not. It's because I'm not feeling any ounce of happiness for Cersei. I'm not like finally Cersei gets to see Jaime again. No. I'm not worried about that. I'm happy Jaime doesn't have to keep going through the hell he's been going through for a year now, maybe more.
God, dang. Yeah.
And that's what made me realize that like they do a lot of heavy lifting to help better his image within the last season and a half. He's about to do some shit here within the next 3 or 4 episodes that, for me, I wash my hands of him and I'm never down with him again. Just astonishingly...
Things like this. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, I should be able to probably know what this is.
You probably blocked it out.
Hmm.
It's disturbing. It's bad. It's terribly, horrifyingly disgusting of him. And that's why, even so, whenever they did all the, like, redemption arc for Jaime later on, I'm never like, I love Jaime Lannister. I can't be. I'm like, good for him for becoming a better person, but God, he sucked. He sucked bad, you know? And there's a part of me that, like, while I don't love the ending he got, he absolutely deserved it, I think.
Deserved,
Jaime.
like, the redemption part, or the
deserved to die.
That he got.
Deserved to die in a... That's the thing. He deserved to die. I don't think it was in Cersei's arms. I don't think it was at the Red Keep, buried with her. I don't think that's the case. I also don't, like I think Brienne deserved better than Jaime. I know she's in love with him and stuff, but she deserved better than him. He deserved Cersei, even though he got better. So, like, it's like, I have complicated feelings, but we will get there. We will get there, because right now I'm not there.
I'm blank. I don't even know. I was trying to think of what the act is that's irredeemable. I don't know. I'm like,
it's bad, man.
The fuck?
It's one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
It's one of those ones where I just can't, like, I'm like, oh my God, no. But
well, ignorance is bliss for now. I'll
for now, it'll be within a few episodes, I think. Before long, we'll get there. But we are heading to Dragonstone after that, where Davos is testing his newfound literacy on Stannis' correspondence, declining Shireen's invitation to read more tales of Aegon I, and he expresses dissatisfaction about the odd spelling of the word night, regarding it as nigget. Why is there a G in night? I don't know, there just is. All right, fair enough.
That's how it is. You know, like that. It was just no better way to explain it. Is that that's just how it is. Okay, cool, whatever.
All right, cool. I'll keep that in mind. That's one I won't forget now, you know. But before hearing the horns...
You know, it was nice that he learned that word right before the message he read.
Right, from the Night's Watch. Yeah, so
very
convenient.
Very nice to learn, but
yeah, before hearing the horns that signal Melisandre's intent to sacrifice Gendry, he argues with Stannis again about sacrificing the boy. But Stannis is convinced by Melisandre that using Gendry as a part of her blood magic will give him the power to destroy his enemies and claim the Iron Throne. This part, whenever he comes up and she's like, he's like, the usurper Robb Stark is dead. And he just goes, and you think because he threw a leech on a fire that's why that happened?
Or it's just because it's wartime and people die all the time. You know, like,
fucking love Davos. Davos was an easy character choice.
There's no doubt. Yeah, he's getting both of them. There was no doubt that any other character was going to get it. Like, even just his interactions with Stannis and Melisandre were good enough to get in there. And then also his, like, interactions with Gendry, I think, were even better.
Right.
Like, just the one-on-one. But no, Davos is, I keep coming back to this. I have this thought that he was one of the only people who knew how it all ended for some reason. That this actor, Liam Cunningham, I don't know why, but I feel like it's just a story that I heard somewhere. It's probably not even real. But in my headcanon, I guess, he's just, I guess, one of the most important people to the show in, like, my headcanon, that the people trusted him enough with, like, all the secrets and everything.
I fucking love Liam Cunningham, but on a lot more fronts than just as an actor. I think he's a wonderful guy. He's a very vocal ally on Twitter, which is very, very cool. He's a generally good person, which I really appreciate. And I love me some Davos Seaworth. And we haven't even gotten to why he's the character of this episode. You know, that was just a little sprinkle on the top before everything came crashing down for him. Not crashing down, but crashing up, I suppose. When he When he doesn't get through to his liege, Davos takes matters into his own hands and goes ahead and frees the boy, frees Gendry. But before he frees him, I can't believe this doesn't have this in here. The conversation Davos and Gendry had was incredible. That was one of the best scenes in this episode.
That is my favorite scene. Yeah, like I was just watching. I'm like, oh my god! Like, are you like in the cell? Whenever he's like, yeah no, I was.
Whenever he's like, you're a lord. I heard all about that. And he explains how he grew up in Flea Bottom. A river of shit ran past his front door, and he's like, you lived in the nice part of town, buddy.
You were actually more highborn than I was, dude. Yeah, no, that. And then Gendry was actually kind of like, oh, okay.
He's like, oh, okay, I can't fuck with this guy
now. And their interactions, like, I think it's. Davos just lost his son, in the Battle of Blackwater, and now he's explaining to Gendry, like, yeah, I did have a son, this is why I did all of this stuff, like, why I even became a lord. Like, I never wanted this, but I wanted a better life for my son. I said yes.
Didn't want him to walk over a river of shit every time he stepped out his front door.
And I'm like, hell, let's fucking go, Dop, like, yeah, and then I'm like, oh, wait. Like, and then Gendry's like, oh, well, where is your son, and he's like, dead now, and it's like, well, how, following me. It's like what he says, and I'm like, I was like, god damn it, Davos, you're too perfect, like it's not.
Davos is that he's the working class hero of Game of Thrones, like that man's just, he's the fucking guy, There comes a point, what I love is that, like, there comes a point in the show where Jon Snow and Davos Seaworth are like homies. If there's a king in the north, it's Jon. If there's a hand to that king, it's fucking Davos. And that's super fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, Davos is so fucking cool. I love that man. And, I always will. That one of my favorite characters in all of Game of Thrones, frankly.
What I want, Davos or Stannis? I mean, that's not even close. It's like no. You just take Stannis out of there, just put Davos up on the throne.
Yeah, for real.
He's I don't know. He's like his advice, and I guess they're just Stannis and Melisandre. They're like, well, we know higher things. We know the Lord of Light is telling us to do these things. But Davos is just like, guys, what are you doing? He's just the voice of reason. The actual, like, what the fuck are we actually doing here, guys?
Yeah, what the fuck are y'all on, man? This shit is so easy. It's so simple. Y'all are making it complicated, fucked up. Y'all are doing a bunch of terrible shit. I don't really get it. But regardless, I did really, really enjoy just his whole part of this episode. And we're only just now getting to the goodies. Whenever he does freeze Gendry, takes him to the shore, tells him to keep rowing, asks him, can you swim? No, don't fall out of the boat.
Gets in the wrong way too. He's facing the wrong way, like turn around, or whatever. Like, and he's just telling him all these little things. Like, it was a very nice, just kind of like, not father son. They don't have really any super real connection, but to Gendry, like, he was just a prisoner. Like, this is the only nice guy that's been talking to him ever. So, like, I kind of saw, like, this was like kind of a nice just relation, like the start of a, I don't know, he's just looking out for him. Like, my son was killed because he followed me. I'm gonna let you go. You get out of this, get out of this situation. It's bad. Just go, keep the shore on your left and you'll eventually get to wherever you need to go. I forgot where he even tells him to go.
He tells him to go to King's Landing.
Oh, wow.
He's like, why would I go to King's Landing? They're looking for me there. He's like, do they know your face? He's like, I don't see any reason why they would. He's like, then you ought to be more afraid of these people. Go back to King's Landing. Which is a fantastic logic, but Davos eventually, he insists to Stannis upon being sentenced to death that he needs him. He will require his assistance to rally troops and mercenaries. You need someone to convince people that you are worth following, because you are not very good at convincing people of that, and I'm a goddamn salesman. Okay,
yeah.
I can figure this shit out.
I'm a smooth talker. Is coming. Literally, he's like, as Stannis was like, and blah blah blah. He was like, all right, yep, I know. Like, all right, get through it. All right,
here's why you can't.
Yeah, and now let me let you in on a little secret.
God, he's so good. I love me some Davos Seaworth, man.
I don't know. It is interesting that like Melisandre was like, yeah, no, kill this man. We instantly. You are the guy who will get all here, and like she's like on her mind to sacrifice Gendry, and then she throws this letter in the fire, sees a vision. She's like,
well, shit. I learned some new shit. All right, you're gonna need him.
I think it's pretty right to assume that like she just sees interpretations, sort of thing. Yeah. She really thought, like I don't think she was playing Stannis. I think she might be, but like I don't think it was really in her only interest to play Stannis the whole time. Just to,
no.
I
don't think she is. I still don't think she is. And I don't think she ever was. And for multiple reasons. A, there's an ignorance is bliss sort of thing. The way we see her learn new information, we like without the fire god. Without the fire god, she learns this information, she burns it, and that informs a new vision, like a new interpretation in her head. I don't think it's necessarily, there's this sort of thing where she not only thinks it is Stannis right now, she wants to believe it is. She wants to believe she's right.
I see. Yeah.
So that's why I never think she's playing Stannis. She might be leading him to do stupid things, but it's only ever out of the hope that she's right and that the fire god is speaking through her. I don't think it's because she's like, I'm preying on Stannis' downfall and I want to usurp his throne. No, like I think it's just she wants to think she's right, so she does things that inform that idea. And Davos does have an important role to play in the events to come. Without Davos, Jon Snow doesn't get revived because he's the one who knows Melisandre is capable of some crazy shit. He's like, I once saw you burr the fucking shadow monster out of that vagina. How about you get in there and perform a bringing a back to life ritual on this guy and we'll see what happens. That's pretty massive.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. Does he make it all the way? Is he master of ships?
Master of ships.
That's right. Yeah, I mean he's
master of ships. He's on the King's Council at the end of this thing, man. Davos, real one. But Stannis sarcastically laughs and he's like, "Ha! You see that shit? See that shit? Saved by the god you like to mock so much. Deuces, buddy." And this whole scene looked so fucking good because of the sunset streaming in through the window.
Dude, was it just I'm like, wow. Like I saw that and I'm like, yep, if we were doing favorite shots of the episode, it's there. Yeah, that was without a doubt. I'm like, that's why it was, I chose, if I'm picking a specific part of this scene, it's whenever Davos goes down in the dungeon and speaks with Gendry down there, and they speak of Flea Bottom and all that stuff. I really like that conversation the most. But this whole scene was just so well done. Good. And then they got back up there and the sunset was like, I'm like, oh my god, it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh my god, this is freaking awesome.
But yeah, that room is Dragonstone. I know that's
always ripe with some pretty shots.
I guess in House of the Dragon we saw
we saw that Dragonstone?
Yeah, and it was that room, but like it wasn't open up to the outside, was it?
It was.
Or was? Maybe they were in a different room. Maybe that was like the table wasn't in that room, or was it?
I think it was. No, we were only in that room once in House of the Dragon. And it was, because remember, Rhaenyra comes down to confront Daemon about the egg he stole. And we're on that bridge outside of Dragonstone. After that, whenever Daemon tells Rhaenyra that his lady, Mysaria, is pregnant, they go up into this room, and they argue for a second. And that's the only time we see this room in House of the Dragon.
Whenever Rhaenyra, I feel like she was giving birth. And
that's in King's Landing.
Okay, so it's not Dragonstone. Okay. For some reason I thought that whole stuff was there, and like the end of the show they were at Dragonstone.
No, that's at the war table.
That's what I was confusing. Yeah, the war table. Isn't that the same table? Or is that a different table?
That's a different table. Because that one, I think is that at the Driftmark?
That's it.
If there's time.
They're at because they went, that's where they are. They're not at Dragonstone, I think.
I have an idea. If there is time enough between this rewatch and House of the Dragon Season 2, we might need to do a House of the Dragon Season 1 rewatch. going in to it.
That's true. Because we would just have all the Game of Thrones stuff in our mind, and then we'd just jump into season 2.
Because I'm not going to lie to you. I've only watched House of the Dragon once. I hardly remember shit. I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it.
This is true.
And I watched it week to week. I never watched that shit all consecutively. I just watched it 10 weeks straight. And that's all I remember is some things that happened every once in a while. But goddamn, I loved watching it. Anywho, we are next heading to the Wall, wherein, arriving at the abandoned Night Fort, Mira Reed tells Bran and Hodor and Jojen that the castle is safe to enter. While around the fire, Bran tells the story of the Rat Cook, a Night's Watch member who killed a guest under his roof, a sin the gods cannot forgive. And we get a couple Hodors here. How many? Was it 2?
Hodor. Yeah, just 2. Just 2. A couple echoes, though. We're not going to count the echoes. You know, it's a little unfair. Right. But yeah, 2 individual Hodors. I put in there that they both echoed, just so we remember.
Just a little tidbit about the Hodors. That one.
They were fun Hodors. This one, it wasn't just like an okay.
They were a fresh new Hodor.
It was Hodor because Hodor wanted to talk. You know, he wanted to see what would happen, and so. But yeah. Anyway.
But nevertheless, later that night, Bran is awoken by a sound and wakes his companions in time to see something large climbing out of the castle well. And Mira attacks and overpowers the intruder, who is revealed to be Samwell Tarly, accompanied by Gilly. And watching this just made me... This is the first time storylines have collided. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's kind of been on its own path, always. It's always been like what Robb Stark's doing, what Theon's doing, what Daenerys is doing, what they're doing, what they're doing. This is the first time we have what Bran's doing and what Samwell is doing, and they happen to touch just at a random point, and then they keep going in their directions. You know, and it reminded me how good it felt to see that on the first time. Like, I remember being like, yes, Samwell is seeing Bran, you know, like, I don't know, like, it's
somebody's
just like
seeing somebody else,
you
know?
Exactly. It's the fact that, like, this show can make me that excited about a couple of random fucking characters meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like, Samwell and Bran meet here, and it's like, oh, thank fucking God. Finally, this needed to happen. And I'm like, I didn't know it needed to happen, but I love it. This scene, actually, I adored this scene. Because there's this weird sense for Samwell that he does not have in any other scene in basically the entire show, where he is the authority in the room. Not the authority, he's not the final say, but he is the one they are listening to. He's the one who they're taking advice from. Like, they're not like, usually Sam is in a subservient position where people are telling Sam what to do, what he needs to do, where he needs to be. He'll like be like, but can I? And they'll be like, no, you're doing this. This is the time where they're like, what do you think, Sam? You know? And
he's like, yeah, well, you can just go through here. Hodor can carry you. And he's like, it just like puts it all out, lays it all out for him.
Yep.
You're
right.
And
I love the way he's like, the way they discover, he's like, they're like, who are you? And he's like, oh shit, you're Bran. Oh my God, you're Jon's brother. And just the way that it all comes together, he's like, I've been around ghosts enough to know a direwolf when I see one, and all that. Like, this was another one that was damn close to being my favorite scene. Just because it's one of the most likable characters meeting another one of the most innocent characters in the show, and it's a nice, happy moment, you know? And I know it's like forewarning, you know? Sam's like, you do not want to go there. You do not want to go north of the wall. You don't want to see the things I've seen. And Jojen's like, I know exactly what you've seen, buddy, and we are going right towards it.
But he lets him know. He's like, I killed a White Walker. That's right. You know, and they're like, but
somebody had to be the first.
He's like, no one's killed a White Walker in thousands of years. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, it's whatever. I guess I just kind of did it. Didn't even really mean to. But the Ravens are all there. So I'm thinking Bran already knew, you know, but Bran needed to get there.
Bran.
Needed to
Future
actually
Bran
have it.
would know.
Yes, future Bran knew, but Bran needed to get it told to him by Sam. So that's why they met and then left. So it's like, oh my God, like everything is. It actually just makes sense, you know,
right.
Like through this whole journey that he's going. Because like at first, it's like do you really have to go north, Bran? You know, like, you say it with such certainty, you know, because before now, like, if you're just watching this for the first time, you're like, I understand, you think you got something here, but, like, that's really the wrong way, you know,
Yeah,
like,
you should not be going that way.
because I forgot who kind of mentions it, and he's like, yeah, I did good against one, but, like,
Yeah,
what
it's
the
Sam.
fuck are you guys gonna do? He's like, what are you guys gonna do?
No,
You
and
know?
he, like, I love the way he said that. He's like, I got lucky against one, and what are you guys gonna do? And they just kind of sit there for a second. He goes, are you gonna kill them? You know, and it was kind of like the first time Sam's ever been like kind of sassy and snippy. You know, he's not being mean. He's just like, let's be fucking for real for a second.
Yeah.
Are you gonna kill them? And I just really appreciated that light on Sam, you know, like, and that was one of the reasons I loved this scene, was just like, it was a different angle of Sam, you know. He's been kind of like this protective figure for Gilly a little bit for a time. He's gaining confidence. He goes into this castle, and I don't know, things are going his way a little bit. But before they separate, Sam gives them the dragon glass, and the groups head in their different directions. Sam and Gilly for Castle Black, and the Reeds, Hodor, and Bran beyond the wall. And one of my other options for a favorite shot was them walking out of there. And I want to point to the imagery here, that it looks like night. It looks like they are walking towards the moon into the long night. You know, like they're heading towards the darkness. They're heading towards that. They're heading into the night where they need to be getting the fuck out of there, you would think. But I feel like that has to be purposeful imagery. I can't imagine it's not trying to evoke a night sky. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm looking at it right now too, and it's like 100%. Because, like, that's not actually the moon, is it? That's just like a hole.
That's the hole at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Oh no, it's 100%. They're invoking the night sky there. Oh yeah.
Cool.
No,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, they're heading into the long night, sort of.
Like the inverse of the beautiful Dragonstone night, you know, sunset kind of. You know, it's like where they think they're all good and doing the right thing, and it's all beautiful and stuff. But the actual, I guess, right thing that needs to happen right now is the opposite of what you think. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But nevertheless, we head to Castle Black after where Sam and Gilly meet with Maester Aemon, who is furious at the prospect of Sam having violated his vows. And Sam defends himself by reciting the Night's Watch oath to protect the realms of men, whatever side of the wall they are on, and repeating Jeor Mormont's assertion that a wall of ice 500 miles long and 700 feet high was not built to keep out barbarians. You know, that's not what that was built for. You know, it wasn't built for wildlings.
No.
And Aemon's demeanor softens upon learning that Gilly was one of Craster's wives and acknowledges that she is now a refugee and should be sheltered. Aemon then orders Sam to begin writing letters immediately and make sure that all 44 of Castle Black's ravens are well fed, because every one of them is to fly tonight. The White Walkers have returned.
Almost a line, and it's really just because it's cute and it's Sam. But it was like, I hope your penmanship is better than your swordplay or whatever. And Sam was just like, miles better. He's like, finally, I'm doing something I want to do.
I've been wanting to write for months, you know. Like,
this is what you should have had me do right away.
I've been north of the wall for like a year, bro. I'm ready. But nevertheless, stopping to rest and tend to his injuries after fleeing the wildlings, Jon Snow finds himself confronted by a furious egret who has an arrow knocked, ready to shoot him. And Jon tries to talk to her. You know how to do what I had to do, love. And I know I got a little Shrek there, but I had to. It was hilarious. You always knew who I was. And she doesn't say a word, you know. She just kind of stands there for a while. And she says, you know nothing, Jon Snow. And that's when we get my favorite line of the episode, where he says, I do know some things. I know I love you. I know you love me. And then she looses an arrow at him, shoots him, attempted to shoot him in the heart, and kill him. Got through his back on the left side of his shoulder. Like,
that's. You think she was actually trying to kill him? I think this was. She's so good with the bow that she knew where to hit him and it wouldn't actually kill him.
Gotcha.
Like, cause she hit him in the leg, one of them. One of them was like in the leg. One of them was like, I think it was like, remember, like, I know you love me. I know that you don't want to do this. I know that this is hard for you too, but I still want you to remember me whenever you're going away. Like this.
Yeah, right.
Very,
okay, I see you there. I just couldn't. I suppose it would take a level of precision to miss the heart where she shot him.
Yeah, I thought it was more of like, because she waited as well. Like, she didn't shoot right away. And, like, it wasn't just like, I'm going to, I want to kill you, and like just firing as much as she could. It was like emotional shots, And I guess it could just be like, maybe I am going to kill him, so I'm taking my time to, like, think of it. So it could be both ways.
No, I just thought, like, if you're going to act like you're not trying to kill him, don't shoot him so close to his heart.
Like, not actually hit him 3 times, Like,
yeah, I don't know. One kind of sends that message.
True. That is true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess
no. There's a balance though, because I think there might be a subconscious level at work. Like there might be a consciously she's like, I need to kill this motherfucker. This is what I need to do, but her heart won't let her do it. You know what I'm saying? So she accidentally misses on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because there's one that catches John on the left side of his back, upper back, which is where your heart is. Like I was that's
that is a kill shot usually. That is, I mean, even if it doesn't hit your heart, just during the time period you're in, it's gonna get infected. Fucked. It's like you got a lot of stuff you got to worry about that they don't even know about. So
yeah,
okay, but, I guess it could go either way here. I like the subconscious. It's probably her subconscious.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, you know what? I can't do this deep down, But this was another one who almost got my performance was Rose Leslie. Again, she is fantastic as Egret. Whenever she watches him go and her eyes well up with tears, dude, fantastically well done. And Kit Harington did really well this episode too. There was kind of everybody firing on all cylinders here for the season finale, and I really enjoyed it. But after this, John, badly injured, manages to ride his horse to carry him the rest of the way to Castle Black. And as he hovers in and out of consciousness, having reached safety, John is brought inside the castle by the guards, where he encounters Sam and Pip, who are overjoyed to see him and insist that his injuries be taken care of. You're home now.
It was nice, Like,
it was nice.
I bet he can't even see us right now. He's unconscious.
And I like that there's like a different like tone in his voice.
Yeah.
Like Pip, it's just like excitement. Cool, Pip. And then you see Sam and it's like heartwarming, like, oh, you're alive. Thank fucking God. Like it was so sweet, man. I just the relationships John forms over the course of this show. It's part of the reason I regard him as my favorite character, which is like funny because on this rewatch so far, and we haven't gotten to the point where he is that guy, like it's crazy how late that happens.
I think that's the point. Like that's actually why we like him so much is that
he wasn't always the guy. Yeah, his rise is just fucking epic, dude.
By the time he gets to Battle of the Bastards and he pulls that sword, you're just like, yeah. There's no question, like when we get there. But like you're right, like right now, if this is first watch, I mean, I like him,
yeah, I'm like he's a good guy. Fuck yeah.
No reason to like hate him, or anything.
No,
but
yeah.
I'm not.
He's one of the better people in the show.
I'm not to the level of Battle of the Bastards yet, where I'm like, oh, I would fucking go. I'd stand right next.
There's a point in this show where I have like this deep hero envy man crush on Jon Snow. You know what I'm saying? We get to a point where I'm like, I kind of want to kiss him on his mouth. You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm already there. I think I was season 1. We're already there.
He's a cutie. He's a cutie.
That's the thing. I don't want to live. Like I've already said, I don't want to live in this world whatsoever. It's like terrible, the things they just have to go through. But like by the time the end of the show, I would actually like go out on the battlefield and fight for Jon. I know I don't follow Jon. I don't. I'd
follow Jon through the gates of fucking hell by the end of the show.
Jon. Yeah, I'm following Jon.
That man was bad fucking ass. And this is not the first season that ends with him bloodied on the grounds at Castle Black.
It's true. But
First
not
one,
forever.
the only one where he ends up alive. But that takes us to our last location of the season in Yunkai. We're outside the walls of the city. Daenerys Targaryen and her advisors wait for the city's enslaved to appear. Daenerys frets that the Yunkish slaves who are better treated than Astapors might have grown to enjoy their lifestyle and might not welcome freedom. Some grow to like their chains. And finally the gates open and the freed people pour on out. And Missandei begins of how Daenerys, but Daenerys interrupts and says, "Hey, it was not me. Y'all have the choice. It's you. Only you can free yourselves." And after a moment, one of the freedmen stretches his hand towards Daenerys and calls out, "Mhysa!" And after another moment, another person says it, and another, until the entire crowd is chanting Mhysa. Bewildered, she asks Missandei, "What does it mean?" She says, "It is Old Giscari. It means mother." And when the slaves advance on Daenerys, the Unsullied step into formation, but the queen tells them to stand down. She tells her dragons to fly, and she tells her men at her side that these people will not hurt her. And she steps out into the crowd, who carry on their chanting and eventually lift her above their heads, and offering a nice little glimmer of hope in an increasingly darker and darker situation.
Yeah, I did just say that I would follow Jon to the ends of the earth and everything. But right now, I'm already following Daenerys.
You're already following Dany, man.
I'm already, and that's the. I don't know how I didn't pick up on this, but like it's just seeing her conquest, like seeing not just her free all these people and stuff like that, but like just to see like the aftermath of it and see the people look at her as like, oh my god, like thank you, like this is like
that's mother,
like yes, like there's nothing that we can do or give you or anything, but this moment is like powerful in itself. And then like you see Jorah looking at her, you see Sir Barristan looking at her. They're all like, "Oh my god, like we are really on the right
out
side
here."
Like I don't know. It's like this is you just. I feel like if you're on Rob fighting for Rob, we had some people that are like, "Man, I really don't know why I'm still fighting out here." Now right. I just want revenge. But like out for Dany's story, it's like every time you ask yourself, "Why am I here?" It's like I know why I'm here. Yeah, like I am fully 100% in, no matter what, and that's why like I always these feel good moments. It's just like it's a bunch of I don't know people just coming out lifting Daenerys up, just saying "mother" over and over. Like that. It's very simple, but like oh my god, does it feel so powerful and just so good? Like after all the shit that happens in this show. We actually get some cities that aren't just burned down or whole armies slaughtered. She did kill, all the soldiers and stuff in the city, but I don't know. It was very nice not to hear a Dracarys, and whatever the Valyrian word is for fly. Right. It was very nice to hear that and just see her walk out and be like, "Yeah, no, they won't hurt me." And Jorah and Barristan, they're ready.
All right, well, let's. Well, I like to think there's she tells her dragons to fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's her last line of defense in case something does go wrong. She can go Dracarys, and she can go ahead and do something. Yeah. I appreciate that. That's not at all what happens, but that she's like, "It's fine. You guys don't need to worry about anything."
She can hold her own. Yeah, it's like if all three of her dragons instantly just started spewing fire right where she is, she's fine. Everyone else there is dead.
Yeah, one thing that I've that I appreciated more about House of the Dragon, and I have a little bit of beef with Game of Thrones over, is like, oh, you are capable of casting black and brown people in roles, huh? They just happen to all be enslaved people.
That's what I was going to say. Is that it did feel like a very grand and powerful moment, but then also just seeing a one
very white
person
saviory
in the very middle of everyone else. I was like, man, like that one shot where it showed everybody.
I'm like, that should be a cool shot, but it's not. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
It
It makes me go.
You're right. It did take it. Like I was like, I
felt like, man, that could have been cool, but there's just an element to it that, and I think they do their best to try and balance that. You know, whenever she does go, it's your freedom. You take it. It's not mine to give. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is you. It's not me. But then they flip it back on their head whenever everybody starts calling her mother. You know, that's when it's like they do view her as the savior. They do view her as the person who saved them. And it's and that's the thing is that, like, I don't know what I'd rather have in this story, you know, like, do I want them to be like, okay, dope, deuces, thanks, you know, like, I don't know, like, probably not, but I think there's an element of like this warship aspect that does make it feel a little weird.
I guess in the time, right? Like in our world, it's just so different. You don't have someone coming in to act, you know, and kill all the soldiers, and then now you're free of, like, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, if I'm putting myself in a slave's shoes in this city, all the people are dead, and then I'm like, oh well, yeah, it's 3 dragons as well. You just came in, and I mean, I'll probably see her as like, holy fuck. But
you're kind of dope. No, and there's this element of it too, where it is like Daenerys said it moments before. You know, people grow to like their chains.
Mm. Yeah,
these people have done nothing but been told what to do and where to go and who to follow and all of this. Natural for them to go ahead and go, this is the person I follow now, you know? And she says the right things, you know, and it's similar to the Unsullied in that it's like, you know, she tells them, you can lay down your arms. Mm-hmm. You do not have to fight for me. You can leave. But all of them have known nothing but enslaved fighting. So what do they all choose to do? They choose to stay on and fight, you know, like it's just like a lot. And it is different here because these people will go on to return to the city and take housing and all of this stuff. And they will live, they will have their jobs. They will not be forced to do anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like there is an element there that's different than the Unsullied. But regardless, there is just the Unsullied, another good example. You don't see a lot of white Unsullied. You know, Missandei, black woman, and all of these characters, every single black or brown character in the show was once enslaved.
And I guess, like, on one hand, we're in a fantasy world where all of this stuff doesn't matter whatsoever. We could have any kind of people, whatever. We don't have to follow all that stuff, you know. And that's the argument for, like, don't make them all like that.
Yeah.
If I'm playing devil's advocate, the point of all of this stuff in the first place is to tell a story, and usually it's a story in history or something that has actually happened before.
No, yeah. And that's what is interesting, is there's a balance of, like, they're trying to do something that feels historically accurate.
Yeah.
But then you go, how much of this is historically accurate? You got zombies marching from the north. And you got dragons all over the place. And that's where the balance comes in. And that's why I appreciate them learning from this and going on to House of the Dragon and being like, okay, the Valerians are a black family and their kids will be mixed, and there's stuff like that. Like, you know, there's I appreciate that they learned from their mistakes prior. And, you know, this was even 10 years ago. And even 10 years ago, it was a little bit of a different time in media, you know, like it is. This wasn't entering the collective consciousness as a concern, you know, like it's become more notable in recent years that something like this shouldn't be happening. And it's not that it wasn't always a problem. It's just that now it's more recognized as such widely. And, which is why they were able to do something like that with House of the Dragon, you know,
Avatar, you know, the movie.
Avatar.
Like, it's like when I first watched the movie, I had no thought in my mind of like a white savior complex and stuff. And then like you hear it for the first time and you're like, well, that's just pretty undeniable there. You know, it's like, wow.
They want to take our land, bro. Yeah. You are one of them. Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah. But they're trying to do something good. You know, it is, I think.
And like, that's the thing, is that like, this is handled in that I would argue this is handled better than Avatar, because Jake Sully takes responsibility for that. He says, "Follow me. I am the one you are to follow." At least Daenerys has the humbleness to go, "Hey, y'all are free of your own accord. Y'all will do what you want. It is not me who's granting you that freedom." They just embrace her as the one who is their savior. And that becomes not a character problem, but a more writing choice. So like it is interesting. It's a complicated matter within the context of something that's supposed to be historical fiction, fantastical historical fiction. So it's like it's odd, but I do understand what their goal was. It's just it's aged poorly. It's aged to a point where we can go, well, why did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I'm like, when the scene was on, I'm like, yes, another city, another freeing of some people. And I'm like, yes, let's go. And then it gets to that shot, and I'm like, should I?
Well, yeah, and it's just like,
Ooh.
It's nice to see so many people of color on screen, but it's like, so you were always capable of doing those sorts of casting calls then?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't, I don't know, fucking Dario Naharis be a black guy? You know what I'm saying? I like it, just these random people who aren't connected to family. Like, it's just it's a interesting choice, and it's something that has gotten better through House of the Dragon, which I really appreciate. But nevertheless, I did think this season finale was strong. The Mhysa moment did not hit the way it once did. For me, it was still strong, but it was there was this undeniable thing in the back of my head going, this feels weird.
Like, it would have been my favorite scene on first watch.
First watch, no doubt. I remember being like, "Fuck yes, Daenerys Targaryen." Yeah, I was 17, and I was a little bit of a
Davos.
dipshit.
Now, man, we're grown
Davos
up.
fucking Seaworth, baby.
Hey, the true unsung hero of this world.
Love me some Davos Seaworth. But I do believe that leaves us with a rating for this episode, and thereafter a rating for the season. Unless we want to give our overall favorites first, or do you want to do ratings for the episode, rating for the season, favorites of the season, and then go over the favorite numbers?
Let's get this episode ranked, then we give our favorite. Well, what would it be better to give the ranking after we say our after we get through all of our favorites and then know it, or are we going to be buttered up and give it a better rating because we're talking about all the good stuff of the season? So I don't know. I think.
Good point. I say we give the ratings, then we do the favorites, and that's what we'll do. So,
agree.
We'll start with this episode. This is a goddamn good one. Funny enough, I don't think I'm left in a place where I'm particularly higher on this than I was last episode or the episode before. This isn't one of my favorite episodes this show ever. It was damn good. It was very well done. I have no qualms. But in the context of a show that is this fucking good, it's crazy that this one doesn't stand out.
I agree. It didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really. It felt like a finale, but not like the other finales that we've gotten. I guess we did check in with everyone. Like, we went on every location. We had like 8 locations or whatever. So like, we did get a check in with everyone and get it set up. I don't think it's like set up the next season poorly or anything. Like, no. I'm very. The threat of the walkers is definitely there, like all of these things. Like, I'm getting hype, but just for the episode by itself, I think I'm there. Like the previous finales, enjoyment wise, we've given 9.5 and 9.5 for both of them. And I don't know. I think I'm like 8.5, 8.75. Like,
let's look at the context of the rest of the season as well. If it wasn't a 10, the highest besides that was a 9. We didn't have anything between a 9 and a 10 this season. Highest after that was 8.75. I think I would go as far as I think I would label this an 8.75. I don't think I would go all the way up to a 9.
It wasn't like any worse than any episode of the season.
No.
But
It is crazy that 875 is the lowest
that's
of
the
the
low.
season.
Yeah. If all my college grades looked like that, I'd be very happy. So,
Right.
I don't know. Very
But
low for Thrones, but
I
very
think
good.
we can finally, upon giving this episode a genre rating of 10, decide that for future seasons we don't need it.
Yeah. I think we just do the waiting thing, like we
I
wait.
think so too. And we might want to reevaluate our previous ratings and go ahead and reevaluate them on that scale. But at this point, it's going to be hard to say any given episode is not a 10 out of 10 in terms of what they're doing. Genre-wise, they don't miss from here on out. Even the show, even season 8, where people are like, this isn't what Thrones once was, it's still more fantastical than it's ever been.
Can you
It's
tell
bigger,
me
it's grander.
another show that does what this does any better consistently through the whole show? I don't think that's like this is kind of the standard for
This
like
is
the
the
genre
gold
standard.
standard.
This is
Yeah.
this is the gold standard for
This
for
is
this
the thing
fan.
that you go, okay, what's going to be second best? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that, like, I'm of the mind that there will not be a better fantasy TV show than Game of Thrones ever. Even though it ended in a way that split masses or kind of dominated masses in a negative way.
It's without a doubt.
For 6 fucking seasons, this show was the best show ever. You know what I'm saying? And that's, no one can take that away. And that's so strong. So I'll forever love this show, and I think it'll be a 10 genre from here until the end of the show, basically. And it has been since what, season 2, episode 5. For a season and a half, we've given 10s across the board, and
the rest were 9.5s or 9. You know, like they probably could have been 10s. It was only just because the show of Game of Thrones hasn't found their like everything yet. Like, but if this was just on a scale of everything else, who knows?
No, this is a different level. This is a different breed. So I think I'm down to shifting, starting with season 4, our rating system to be enjoyment and critical, with a weight on the critical side of things. I think I'm okay with that. A 2/3, 1/3 split there. Critically, I will say this was a damn good episode. It was a beautiful episode to look at. It was very well written. I have my qualms there with the ending, you know, but given the time it was made, which is funny to say, 10 years ago, it's aged in a awkward way, which might be the only thing about this episode that makes me go critically. I don't know how well I can evaluate it. And even so, I still don't think it would dip below a 9.
No. Yeah, it's like it's every other aspect's too good. You know, it's like there is the one at the end that's just kind of a little sting, but man, visually was it just gorgeous the whole time.
Gorgeous episode. Gorgeous
Checking
episode.
like Arya, like we're getting performances out of characters that we finally like we've been wanting through Ramsay and Arya. You know, we got.
Well, and if there's any season finale that I would say is getting me more hyped for the next season, I think this is the best season finale in that regard.
That's very fair.
I'm more excited for season 4 than I was exiting season 2 into season 3 or exiting season 1 into season 2. You know what I'm saying?
The last finales have been more of a wrap up of the season,
and then like a tiny little bit of like, all right, here's what's next. We're heading this way. This was basically nothing but we're launching this direction. You know what I'm saying?
Let's see. I'd say I'm like at 9 or 9.25 is kind of where my gut took me.
I'm gonna go 9. Simply because 9.25s that we have there are The Bear and the Maiden Fair, The Climb, which were 2 insanely good episodes. And I think this was very good. I just don't think it was quite that level. This puts it more on the same level as the first 2 episodes of the season, and Velardo Hyris and Dark Wings, Dark Words, which is more of that, like, this is where we're going to get rolling this season. This is what's happening. We're going this direction, you know, and I think that makes sense in the grand scheme of things. So I think a 9 is an appropriate rating for this episode, and what does that bring it overall?
Well, I guess with our old rating system, keeping it all there, it'd be a 9.25 on average, which ties it with episode 1 of this season.
Okay.
Overall, let's see, is there any other 9.25s in here somewhere? Overall, the season 1 was a 9.25. If we want to go there, so this is about on the same level as season 1 overall. This episode, right. Oh, that's kind of a hard comparison to make, but yeah, I think that's about right. I came out of it like, I don't know, not like feeling that it was a terrible finale or anything, like not at all, but just like, yeah, I'm hyped to move on. Like that was the feeling out of the end. So
yeah, it was the perfect place to leave us after an episode like the Red Wedding, something that was so draining. And so what can we even do after this?
Maybe it was just like, you need to think about the future and not right now. Like
that's what this show did so perfectly, is it knew it needed to launch us in a different direction. It was like, that ended, but look at what else there still is on the board. And I think that's what this episode did so good. On IMDb, it was a 9.1 out of 10. So we were slightly nicer at a 9.3 if you round it up. But I stand by that. I stand by it.
Yeah.
It was a damn good episode, and a damn good season, man. I don't know that I can tell you honestly that this is, worse than either of the previous 2 seasons. Do you know what happened with our season 2 overall rating? What happened there?
Oh, I don't know. That's not good. That's not. I don't think we gave it 2 zeros.
No, we definitely did not. I'm assuming the genre was a 10.
Oh, well, crap. I guess I can maybe find that in the history, but that would be. We've edited this thing quite a lot of times. I don't think we'd be able.
Yeah,
to
don't you worry about it. We'll be able to figure it out at some other point. But regardless, I do think I'm left in a place where this is probably the best season of this show yet. I think that critically, it's better. I think that enjoyment-wise, I've got to be at that 9.75. Like it's that fucking good.
Yeah. No, I think like season 2, we were like, all right, they're still kind of finding some stuff. They're still kind of figuring stuff out. But then by the middle of the season, we're like, all right, now we're there.
Yeah.
This season, we've been there the whole time.
We've been there.
And we've gotten there. Yeah, and we got the Red Wedding. We got the Bear, the Maiden Fair, the climb. Like I don't know, big moments this season that were really awesome for first watch and rewatch. So no, I've not quite a 10. I think we will get there, a 10 season, enjoyment wise for sure, but not quite there yet.
I think next season's going to be our first 10 season.
Joffrey dies, so automatically.
Yeah. Joffrey dies, Tywin dies, Pedro Pascal is in it.
Okay. Not even Joffrey.
What more could you look for?
Come on.
Okay. But critically, it's a damn good season. I think. Let's see. What do we give season 1? A 9? I'm gonna have to elevate on that. I'm gonna go 9.5. I thought this season was expertly done. Our low points were an 8 and an 8.5. Everything beyond that was 9 or up.
That's just how good the show is. It's like, really, we should be. The answer is really in between a 9 and a 10 most of the time. We should really just have the scale from 1 to 10 be in between a 9 and a 10. I don't know, like
9.1 or a 9.9.
Yeah, honestly, is kind of what it's almost getting to. But I don't know. I think this is how I feel about the season, though. Is that it's season 3. It was Game of Thrones the whole way through and through. No more figuring anything out. We're getting all storylines all over the place, and now now I'm like, if I didn't have to wait to start season 4, I would be binging the show now.
Oh,
Like
right.
I would not be taking this week by week anymore if I was on my own.
Fuck no.
So I'd probably I'd be finishing the show within a week or two, I'd say, after this point. But man, I like that. A
I like that as
9.75
well.
for the season, averaging it out.
Damn good season, man. It's a damn good show. Like, it's just been incredible. And that leaves us with our favorites of the season. Let's take this one by one. For a character, who do you think, in all told, was your favorite character of season 3?
The person who's jumping out immediately is Olenna Tyrell, just because of how she just came in and just absolutely owns everyone. But I think like a character for the season, though, that was my gut, and maybe it's just because I like every time she's on screen. I don't think there's a single time where she's on screen that is not hilarious and or her just making the other person look like a fool. John's storyline is very interesting to see. Like, it's starting to get interesting, but I don't think I quite go John yet.
Right.
Man, maybe Rob could be. You know, we won't have Rob anymore.
We won't have Rob anymore. This was the season that he found and fell in love with Talisa. I mean, I guess that was towards the end of season 2, but this is the entire season he's in love. You know, like that's what this season is. Something that kind of hurts Rob is how long-term his storyline runs, as far as like the development he saw this season was minute. In fact, this was the decline of Rob Stark this season.
That's
you know
probably true. Yeah,
it's his men who are fleeing his side. They're not down with him that much anymore. Like, it's just it was kind of everything went the wrong way for Rob this season. Even though he did have those shining moments of positivity with Talisa, that was it. But there's no leaps in his and Talisa's development this season beyond she's pregnant.
Maybe.
You know?
Let's see. Where was Dany at the very end of season 2?
She'd just taken Karth.
So she might have the strong, like, she's got to prove. Only checking in very slightly, though, you know. You check in with her and it's boom, another big victory.
That's what's big about season 3, man. As far as like where I spread the love, I'm looking at it. I think the only character you could argue is a main character of this show from this season that I picked as a favorite in any episode was Robb Stark. I got Marjorie Tyrell, Olenna Tyrell, Podrick Payne. You can make an argument for Varys, Ygritte, Dario Naharis, and Davos.
Yeah.
That's what this season did so well, is that, like, while the first 2 seasons, it was nothing but those major characters were dominating episodes, I'm starting to gain love for everybody. The world building in this season just expands it like crazy. And I'm actually, for my season favorite, we were talking about how John had a damn good story. And in the context of a rewatch podcast, John's story expands exponentially beyond this. But the reason it does is because of Ygritte in season 3.
I was getting ready to type it. I thought so.
Yeah, I'm going Ygritte, man. That is my favorite character of the season. I have little to no doubt there.
Samwell Tarly for killing the first White Walker.
That's huge.
Setting Bran on his path. And that didn't really... Let's see, what else did Sam do? Got Gilly.
Got him some Gilly. Sam's a good character this season, man. He's pushing forward. You know, a few others that I could see an argument for. Funny enough, like Bran. I think Bran finally found his path. And he knows.
I think that's like the storyline that I'm the most interested in, but just because of the Three-Eyed Raven stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, I think I'm more emotionally invested in other storylines, though. I think I'm actually between, like, Olenna is just like my gut, and just because she's just amazing. And I do think it would bring light to the season being such a good season of side characters and not just main characters. Davos possibly. More near the end here that he's, really. But Davos has been Davos the whole time, through and through. And then, Tyrion, not really. Yeah, it's not a Tyrion. I don't know. Olenna was my gut. And I think it just highlights the fact that a random character that doesn't really have a whole lot to do. It just doesn't sit right though, Olenna. Like it doesn't feel right for me.
I get that.
It just doesn't feel right. I think I'll go with Daenerys. Like it's the actual. Every time we're checking in with her story, I feel good, and I'm like, yes, go on this, and I love to see all the reactions of everyone around her. Near the end there, the one little stinger part, but before that, every other city and every other victory, her talking with just the lords of each city, and her just dealing with it, and no, not just killing them right away, but doing what needs to be done. It was very slight and not many check-ins with her, but when we did, it was very big and very impactful. And she's going on quite the journey. Let's see. I did have the map open a little earlier. I mean, this season was quite the trek, and she's on her way to Marine now. Next episode, she begins her path to Marine. I think she gets there in episode 2, season 4. So she's moving. She's moving. Oh, she doesn't get there until episode 3, Breaker of Chains. So that's when. Okay, that makes sense. But no, I think I will go with Daenerys. Olenna was my closest one, though. If I would have to say someone who was the closest to getting it.
No, I like that choice. But yeah, so Daenerys for you, Ygritte for me on the season's favorites for characters. How about performance? I've got one. Funny enough, numbers would indicate that Michelle Fairley should be my favorite character or my favorite performance of the season. She's the only one who got a repeat choice out of me this season. Michelle Fairley, the only one who got 2 performance nods on the season. I'm actually going with someone I didn't pick for a single episode.
Oh.
I'm going Alfie Allen as Theon Greyjoy.
I like. He deserves it.
Yeah.
Altogether.
There's a consistency there that I know we've been talking about how actors have found their place, They are sinking into that role. Theon's in a place now where he has no opportunity to do that. He is not sunk into the role of Theon. He is dwindling into Reek. And it's a wonderful arc to watch him go on as far as a performance side of things. I don't like it. I don't like watching it, but he's goddamn good at it. And you remember there's a point early on in the season whenever he's contemplating how he betrayed the Starks and how, my real father lost his head at King's Landing and I should have treated him better. I chose wrong. I made a choice. And
dang. No, this is a good pick though. No, I
the single choice of the season that I will always adore. And Michelle Fairley, the scream she lets out, that guttural scream, that's one of the top 5 most memorable acting choices in all of Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? But the most underrated one, I think, from season 3 is in this episode whenever Theon is trying not to give way to Reek. And he just goes, please. It's so fucking good. So I'm going Alfie Allen as Theon Greyjoy for my choice for the season.
I was thinking my gut was a Stark. My gut was either Michelle Fairley or Richard Madden. And I'm like, well, Richard Madden had some good scenes, but wasn't as consistent as Michelle Fairley.
Yeah, Michelle Fairley.
So that debate, Michelle Fairley wins. And now I'm trying to see if anyone else beats her for me, performance-wise. And I don't really think so. The other one might be Nikolaj Coster. I always feel like I want to say Coaster.
That's a good fucking idea, man.
I think his arc, man, wow. I think he might actually be my character too. Like, well, no, I like his performance way more. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that.
I like
I'm
that.
gonna
So
go
we
with
both
Nikolaj.
ended up. Oh no, you did take Nikolaj
I had him once for
one episode.
It was whenever he was, I think, him taking a bath with Jamie in the bathhouse, saying like that scene. But him just having to just go through what he goes, like him having to look like death all the time and like just feel like that, and then but then the actual like that
similar
concept
here.
Yeah, not someone I guess who you'd expect, but now that I thought about it, I'm like, man, yeah, Alfie Allen and Nikolaj
Coster-Waldau.
I gotta just say that a couple times in my brain to get it down. But I don't know. I really took a liking to Jamie this season, a lot more than I previously have on rewatches, and I think it was because of him. And I think maybe I'll give him this now because I don't know what happens. I still am blanking on whatever the fuck. So maybe this is one of the last times I'll find him redeemable.
Yeah, it is for me.
Yeah.
He does a lot to help himself later on, but it's just one of those things where you're like, I can't get past that one thing you did that one time. That was bad.
Okay.
But yeah, man, Alfie Allen and Nikolaj Coster-Waldau for the
who would have thought
performance choices.
Wouldn't have thought that.
Didn't see that coming. In fact, it didn't occur to me to pick Alfie Allen until just now. I literally was like, you know what? Thinking back, I think that's him. I think that's the choice. First scene feels kind of moot to go with anything other than the Red Wedding as far as a favorite scene of the season. Just, I don't love it, but goddamn, that makes me feel things, all sorts of things.
Is there any other scene that even comes close to it this season?
As far as like what makes me happy, yeah. When John and Egret fuck, I love that scene.
Podrick,
yes.
Character. Oh no, I'm kidding. I'm
Sex God Pod.
But no, I think the Red Wedding is kind of the only scene. I was trying to think of another thing or like a sleeper pick or something that I couldn't really think of. But like, there's a reason we talk about this episode the way we do. There's a reason it's still affecting people today. There's a reason people are still filming their friends watch it for the first time. Like this is a monumental episode for this show. So yeah, I think I'll just put no again, because that's what I put last time. But I'll put it in parentheses to have it be known. But yeah, I have to agree there.
Feels impossible to go with anything else. And line-wise, I'm doing what I did in the previous season and going with one that I didn't pick for any given episode. And I'm going with Ramsey's. If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Okay.
It's a damn good line.
No, I didn't think about it. I was just thinking Hodor for the funny.
Yeah, Hodor.
But no, we got a counter over there. That's too cheap. We do get the you know nothing, Jon Snow.
We know nothing. Oh, that was my season 2 line.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, no, so I guess that was the first was back then. But we get the
response to it though. I do know some things.
That's true.
I know I love you.
Not quite hitting. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other big lines that happened.
If it's a boy, I know what we should name him. Eddard.
Don't you think the father should have? Oh, okay. Yeah, never. Yeah, you're okay. You're right. I love you. And yeah, okay. Yeah. So okay.
Monumental line that ends up being really applicable to the whole season. I've seen wet shits I like better than Walder Frey.
Ooh, Blackfish. Let's see. Yeah, what other Blackfish lines did I have? The laws of my fist are about to compel your teeth. I remember that one. That was a good one. Harley, I forbid you to die. You hear me?
Oh, that's a goodie. I want to fight for the side that fights for the living, Jon Snow. That's a goodie.
That's pretty
kind of
good.
Sums up the season as far as what direction the show seems to be taking.
I like having a Jon nod somewhere. Because not quite character, but every line that he says and every person that he's meeting, everything that he's doing now is making him the person that he will eventually get into. So I do like that.
I like that as well. And with that, we have all our favorites for the season knocked out, and we have brand new numbers, new stats for the most favorites. And this time I'm only going to give a little top 5 for everybody. So far on the show, we've had 60 options. There have been 60 choices over 30 episodes because me and Joseph each get a choice. So you times 30 by 2, and that's that. We each pick a character, we each pick a performance every episode, and here end up being the top 5 in each regard after 3 seasons. Despite not getting a single character nod for any episode in season 3, Tyrion Lannister still tops the list at 8 character nods, which is insane that he could go a whole season without getting one and still top the list. Daenerys still gets second there, and if I'm not mistaken, okay, she got two from you this season, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So she elevated slightly. At third, Robb Stark and Ned Stark are tied at 5. Forever tied at 5, which is kind of poetic.
There's no... Well, we could give young Ned Stark, when he comes back in the flashback...
We could.
You could. It probably won't happen.
Probably not. But maybe. That's... Maybe?
Actually, it is still Ned, and Ned's doing that, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, what he's doing, that's pretty monumental. There might be a chance for Ned to advance a little bit.
Ned wasn't quite as on, okay, maybe Ned does get the one up on Robb eventually, but
maybe.
Is there a
we'll
chance
see.
for Robb ever?
No, there's not. That's it. That's it for Robb.
Yeah.
Tied for 4th are Jon Snow and Ygritte at 4, which is another kind of poetic one there. And then tied at 5 with 3 leaves us all of Varys, the Hound, and Olenna Tyrell. So that's the top 5. Kind of crazy to see Tyrion, Daenerys, Robb and Ned, Jon and Ygritte, and then the 5 spot's the one that gets me: Varys, the Hound, and Olenna Tyrell. That's amazing.
Why not? That's the show for you. It's like you can, and I think maybe that's why it is so good. Is that like a lot of people that they don't think that they like the show whatsoever, but then they start watching it and they're like, oh, I really like this one character. And it's most of the time it's more than one character, but there's just so many characters to choose from. There's bound to have someone in there you like,
Yeah, no
but
shit.
Like Olenna made the top 5, so
Olenna makes the top 5. She earned it.
I like. Okay, at least she's getting that.
But yeah, and then performance-wise, top 1 lies with Emilia Clarke. She has 8 performance nods from us two out of 60. Tied for second are Michelle Farrelly with 7 and Peter Dinklage with 7. Catelyn Stark and Tyrion Lannister tied there. At third is Lena Headey as Cersei Lannister with 6. Mm-hmm. At 4, Sean Bean as Ned Stark at 5. And tied for 5th are Nikolaj Coster-Waldau with 3 and Richard Madden with 3. So, good slates of top 5 there. And it's been another wonderful season here on Winter is Blooming. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content and a whole bunch of written content over there. I've gotten into writing again, and it's been so much fun. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast over there, and you can get a bunch of movie reviews, book reviews, comic book reviews, and the like. That's patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. If you would, head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. We will be back next week for season 4. We're booking it through this rewatch, and season 4 begins next week. I am so excited. We are taking a pause on our comic book movie journey through film. We finished season 1 of it, if you will. It was 20 films, Batman 66 through Spider-Man 2. And we are going to be starting our director's spotlight this week for 4 weeks for the next month. 2 times a week, a Wes Anderson film. Wednesday, that begins with The Royal Tenenbaums, and Friday it continues with The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. So I'm very excited for that, to get back into cinema at large beyond comic book movies. And Wes Anderson is a damn good place to start. With that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I've seen wet shits I like better than Walter Frey.